My dear brothers and sisters, sometimes life feels overwhelming. You wake up with worries already sitting on your chest. Your mind is racing, your heart is heavy, and you're asking yourself, what's going to happen next? But today, remind yourself of one powerful truth: Allah has everything under control. Nothing in your life is random. Not the delays, not the disappointments, not even the pain you don't talk about. Every single moment is known to Allah. Before you were born, your story was already written. Not by chance, but by divine wisdom. And when you truly understand this, your heart begins to rest. Many of us think that if something didn't happen the way we wanted, it means Allah said no. But that is not always the case. Sometimes Allah is saying, not yet. Sometimes He is saying, I have something better for you. And sometimes He is protecting you from something you cannot see. Delay is not rejection. Delay is divine preparation. We need to understand that hardship does not mean Allah is angry with you. Tests are not punishments. In fact, many times they are signs that Allah wants to elevate you, clean your heart and bring you closer to Him. Gold is purified in fire. Diamonds are formed under pressure. And believers grow through trials. Worrying day and night will not change what is written. Anxiety will not rewrite destiny. But trust changes you. When you place your affairs in the hands of Allah, your heart becomes lighter, even if the situation stays the same. Tawakkul does not mean you stop trying. It means you try your best. Then you leave the results to the one who controls everything. Remember, Allah sees what you don't see. You see one door closing, Allah sees 10 doors opening elsewhere. You see loss, Allah sees protection. You see pain, Allah sees growth. There are things you thank Allah for today that once made you cry. And there are things you cried for that you now thank Allah you never received. When something slips away from you, don't chase it with desperation. If it was meant for you, it would never miss you. And if it missed you, it was never meant to stay. What is written for you will reach you, even if the whole world tries to stop it. And what is not written for you will never be yours, even if you chase it your entire life. True peace comes when you surrender your heart to Allah. Not when problems disappear, but when faith becomes stronger than fear. When you stop asking why me and start saying, Ya Allah, I trust you. That moment changes everything. So hold on, be patient, keep making dua, keep doing good, keep walking toward Allah, even with a broken heart. Because the one who controls the heavens and the earth is also controlling your life. And He never makes mistakes. Allah has everything under control, even the things that keep you awake at night. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most comforting truths a believer can hold on to is the understanding that nothing in our lives happens by accident. We often look at our circumstances and assume that some things are just random, that events collide without meaning, and that certain moments are simply the result of chance. But for the believer, there is no such thing as coincidence. Every moment, every encounter, every delay, and every outcome unfolds with the permission and knowledge of Allah. Sometimes we ask ourselves why a particular hardship came into our lives, why a door closed so suddenly, or why a situation turned out so differently from what we had planned. We forget that our plan is limited, while Allah's plan is complete. He sees the beginning, the middle, and the end all at once. What feels like confusion to us is clarity in divine knowledge. What feels like chaos to us is order in Allah's decree. Think about how often you look back at your past and realize that something you once considered a disaster was actually a turning point. At the time you felt broken, disappointed, and even lost. Yet later you saw how that very moment pushed you closer to Allah, redirected your path, or protected you from something far worse. If that event was truly random, it would not have carried such meaning. The fact that it shaped you proves that it was placed there for a reason. Nothing in a believer's life is wasted. Even your tears are counted. Even the nights when you cried silently, thinking no one understood, were known to Allah. He was aware of your pain before it reached your heart. When something touches your life, it comes with wisdom, even if that wisdom is hidden from you at the time. Allah never allows something to happen without purpose, even when the purpose is to teach patience, humility, or reliance upon Him. We also need to remember that Allah does not make mistakes. Human beings make decisions based on emotions, pressure, and limited information. Allah's decisions are based on perfect knowledge and infinite mercy. When something doesn't go the way you expected, it does not mean Allah overlooked you. It means He chose what was better for your soul, even if it challenged your comfort. As believers, we are invited to shift our mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? We begin to ask, what is Allah teaching me through this? That small change transforms pain into growth. It turns frustration into reflection. It helps us understand that we are not victims of circumstances, but servants being guided through a journey designed with care. Even the people who enter and leave your life are not there by chance. Some come to support you, some come to test you, and some come to teach you lessons you could not learn any other way. When their role is complete, Allah allows them to move on. Holding on to them after that only brings pain, because you are resisting a divine transition. When you truly believe that nothing happens by accident, your heart begins to soften. You stop fighting destiny and start walking with it. You still feel pain, you still struggle, but deep inside there is calm. A calm that says Allah knows what He is doing. And that calm is a gift that only faith can give. So when life surprises you, when plans fall apart, and when answers don't come immediately, remind yourself of this truth. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not lost in randomness. You are exactly where Allah wants you to be at this moment. And when the time is right, He will move you forward in a way that will make everything make sense. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the hardest things for the human heart to accept is waiting. We live in a time where everything is instant. We want answers immediately, results quickly, and relief right now. So when we make dua and nothing seems to change, when we put in effort and still see no outcome, we quietly begin to feel disappointed. But this is where faith is tested. Because delay does not mean denial. Delay means Allah's timing is perfect, even when it does not match our expectations. Many people think that if Allah truly loved them, their prayers would be answered straight away. They forget that Allah's love is not proven by speed, but by wisdom. A child may cry for something harmful, and a loving parent withholds it, not out of cruelty, but out of care. In the same way, Allah may delay what you are asking for, because receiving it too soon could harm your faith, your character, or your future. Sometimes you are asking for something good, but you are not ready for it yet. Allah knows what you can carry and what would break you. You might be praying for success, marriage, wealth, or ease, but Allah sees the version of you that still needs growth, patience, and grounding. So He delays not to punish you, but to prepare you. When the blessing finally arrives, it comes at a time when you can appreciate it, protect it, and use it correctly. There are also moments when Allah delays something because something better is coming. If you were to receive what you asked for, you might settle for less than what Allah wants to give you. The delay raises your standards, strengthens your dependence on Allah, and reminds you that true contentment does not come from things, but from trust. Many people look back and realize that if their earlier du'as had been answered, they would have missed out on something far great. And waiting is not wasted time in the sight of Allah. Every moment you wait while trusting Him is an act of worship. Your patience is recorded. Your tears are rewarded. Your continued dua, even when you feel tired, is beloved to Allah. Sometimes the reward of a delayed dua is not what you ask for, but a stronger heart, a deeper connection with Allah, and a faith that cannot be shaken. We must also remember that Allah answers in different ways. Sometimes He gives you exactly what you asked for. Sometimes He replaces it with something better. And sometimes He removes a hardship from your life that you didn't even realize was coming. When you don't see an answer, it doesn't mean Allah was silent. It means He responded in a way you cannot yet see. Delay teaches us humility. It reminds us that we are servants, not controllers. We make our effort, we raise our hands, and then we submit. This surrender is what brings peace. When you stop rushing Allah and start trusting Him, your heart learns to breathe again. You realize that what is meant for you will arrive at the perfect moment, not a second too early and not a second too late. So if you are waiting today, do not lose hope. Do not assume your dua has been rejected. Do not compare your timeline with anyone else's. Allah is dealing with you personally, lovingly, and wisely. What is delayed is not forgotten. What is postponed is being protected. And when Allah finally opens that door, you will look back and say with certainty that the wait was worth it, because Allah's timing is always perfect. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest misunderstandings we struggle with is the idea that hardship is always a sign of punishment. When something goes wrong, when life becomes heavy, or when pain enters our homes, we sometimes begin to question our worth and our relationship with Allah. We ask ourselves what we did wrong or whether Allah is displeased with us. But hardship in itself is not a punishment. Very often it is part of a divine plan meant to shape, strengthen, and elevate a believer. If hardship were a sign of Allah's anger, then the most beloved people to Him would have lived the easiest lives. Yet we know that the righteous, the sincere, and the most devoted servants faced some of the toughest trials. Their lives were not free from pain, loss, or struggle. This teaches us that difficulty is not a measure of Allah's displeasure, but a tool through which He refines hearts and builds resilience. Hardship has a way of waking us up. When life is comfortable, we become distracted. We rely on our own strength, our own plans, and our own resources. But when difficulty strikes, we remember how fragile we truly are. We turn back to Allah with sincerity, humility, and desperation. In those moments, our prayers are real, our tears are honest, and our dependence is genuine. This closeness to Allah is not a punishment, it is a gift hidden within the test. There are times when hardship comes to cleanse us. Every pain, every loss, and every struggle carries the potential to wipe away sins. What feels heavy on the heart can actually lighten the scale on the day of judgment. Allah in His mercy allows believers to go through challenges in this world so they do not carry that burden into the next. From this perspective, hardship becomes a sign of care, not cruelty. Hardship also builds character. Patience is not developed in ease. Gratitude is not understood without struggle. Strength is not discovered until it is tested. When Allah puts you through something difficult, He is not breaking you, He is teaching you who you really are. Many people discover their inner strength, their faith, and their purpose only after being pushed beyond their comfort zone. Sometimes hardship is a form of redirection. You may be walking towards something that looks good on the surface but would harm your soul in the long run. Allah places an obstacle in your path, not to stop you, but to save you. At the time it feels unfair and painful. Later it becomes clear that the difficulty was protection in disguise. What you lost was never meant to stay, and what didn't work out was never meant to define you. We also need to remember that hardship is temporary even when it feels endless. No night lasts forever, and no pain remains unchanged. Allah promises ease alongside difficulty, not after it. This means that even while you are struggling, relief is already being prepared. Sometimes relief comes in the form of a solution, and sometimes it comes as strength to endure. Both are forms of mercy. When you understand that hardship is part of divine planning, your perspective changes. You stop seeing yourself as abandoned and start seeing yourself as guided. You stop asking why Allah is doing this to you and start trusting what Allah is doing for you. The pain may still be there, but it no longer controls your heart. So if you are facing hardship today, do not assume the worst. Do not think Allah has turned away from you. Hold on, remain patient, and keep your connection with Him strong. What you are going through is not meaningless. It is shaping you, cleansing you, and preparing you for something greater. Allah knows your limits, and He knows your strength, even when you don't. And when this chapter passes, you will see that what you thought was punishment was actually part of a perfectly designed plan. My dear brothers and sisters, worry is something that quietly drains the heart. It steals your sleep, clouds your thoughts, and makes tomorrow feel heavier than it really is. Many people believe that worrying means they care, that if they worry enough, they can somehow prevent things from going wrong. But the truth is, worrying does not change destiny. It does not add ease to what is written, nor does it remove hardship. What it does is rob you of peace in the present moment. We often replay the same thoughts again and again in our minds, imagining the worst possible outcomes. We worry about things that may never happen and stress over matters that are completely out of our control. While planning and taking responsibility are part of faith, constant anxiety is not. There is a difference between being careful and being consumed. When worry takes over, it quietly pushes Allah out of the picture and places the burden of control on our own shoulders. Destiny is already written with wisdom. What is meant for you will reach you, and what is not meant for you will never become yours. No amount of worry can delay what Allah has decreed, and no amount of fear can stop what Allah has planned. When you truly accept this, your heart begins to loosen its grip on anxiety. You realize that you were never meant to carry the weight of the future alone. Trust, on the other hand, brings peace even in uncertainty. Trust does not mean you will never feel afraid. or concern. It means that despite those feelings, you place your heart in Allah's care. You acknowledge your limitations and recognize His power. This shift is what transforms restlessness into calm. The situation may remain the same, but your response to it changes completely. When you trust Allah, you begin to understand that He is managing your affairs better than you ever could. He knows what you need, when you need it, and how it should reach you. There are moments when you are worried about one outcome, while Allah is arranging something far better behind the scenes. Your worry cannot speed that process up, but your trust allows you to wait without breaking. Worry also weakens gratitude. When the mind is constantly focused on what might go wrong, it becomes blind to what is already going right. Trust opens your eyes to blessings you may have overlooked. It reminds you of how many times Allah has taken care of you in the past. You survived moments you once thought you wouldn't. You were rescued from situations that could have destroyed you. If Allah helped you then, why would He abandon you now? Placing trust in Allah is an act of worship. It is a statement of faith that says, I have done my part and now I leave the rest to you. This does not mean being careless or lazy. It means making effort without panic, planning without obsession, and hoping without desperation. It is the balance between responsibility and reliance. Peace does not come from having everything under control. Peace comes from knowing that Allah is in control. When you internalize this Ruth, your heart learns to settle. You stop fighting the unknown and start walking through it with faith. Even when answers are delayed, your soul remains steady because it is anchored in trust. So when worry begins to creep in, pause and remind yourself of who is truly in charge. Take a deep breath, make your dua, and release what you cannot change. The future belongs to Allah, not to your fears. And the more you trust Him, the lighter your heart becomes. In that trust, you will find a peace that worry could never give, a peace that stays with you even when life feels uncertain. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the reasons we struggle so much with uncertainty is because we judge life only by what we can see. We trust our eyes, our experiences, and our limited understanding. And when something doesn't make sense, we feel uneasy. But Allah's control is far beyond what our eyes can perceive and what our minds can comprehend. Just because you cannot see what Allah is doing does not mean He is not in control. We see only one moment at a time, while Allah sees the entire journey. We focus on the present pain, the current struggle, or the unanswered question. Allah sees where this moment is leading, how it will shape you, and what it will protect you from. What looks like a setback to you may actually be a setup for something greater. What feels like confusion may be the beginning of clarity that will come later. There are many things happening in your life right now that you do not understand, and that is okay. Faith does not require full explanation. Faith requires trust. If everything made sense immediately, there would be no test. Allah allows uncertainty so that, our hearts learn reliance instead of control. When you accept that you do not need to know everything, you free yourself from unnecessary stress. Often, Allah's greatest work happens in silence. While you are worrying, He is arranging. While you are feeling lost, He is guiding. While you think nothing is changing, He is moving things in ways you cannot imagine. There are conversations you never hear, doors you never see, and dangers you never face because Allah quietly handled them for you. His protection surrounds you in ways you will never fully realize in this world. We also forget how many times our own judgment has been wrong. There were things you were certain you wanted, and when you didn't get them, you were heartbroken. Later, you realized how different your life would have been, and not in a good way. There were situations you feared deeply, and when they passed, you grew stronger instead of weaker. These experiences are reminders that your understanding is limited, but Allah's wisdom is complete. Allah's control extends to every detail, even the smallest ones you overlook. A missed opportunity, a delayed response, an unexpected turn. None of these escape His knowledge. Everything is perfectly measured. Nothing is early, nothing is late, nothing is out of place. When something enters your life, it does so with purpose. When something leaves, it leaves with reason. When you believe that Allah's control goes beyond what you can see, your heart learns patience. You stop demanding immediate answers and start trusting the process. You realize that clarity does not always come at the beginning. Sometimes understanding comes after endurance. Sometimes wisdom comes after surrender. This belief also protects you from despair. When life becomes dark and the path ahead seems unclear, you remember that Allah sees the light even if you cannot. He knows how this story ends, and He knows how to bring you through every chapter. Your job is not to understand everything, but to remain connected to Him through everything. So when you feel confused, uncertain, or afraid of the unknown, remind yourself of this truth. Allah is not limited by what you see or feel. His control reaches places your mind cannot reach. Trusting that control is what brings strength to your heart. And one day when you look back, you will see how every unseen detail was part of a plan far more beautiful than anything you could have imagined. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most painful experiences in life is when a door you desperately wanted to walk through suddenly closes. You planned, you hoped, you made dua, and you imagined a future that felt so real. Then, without warning, it ends. At that moment, it feels like loss, rejection, and failure all at once. But very often, when a door closes, Allah is not pushing you away. He is protecting you or redirecting you towards something better. We judge doors by how much we wanted them, not by where they would have led us. Allah, however, judges by outcomes, consequences, and what they would do to your heart and faith. There are paths that look attractive at the entrance but are full of harm further down. There are opportunities that seem perfect on the surface but would slowly pull you away from Allah, peace, or your true purpose. When Allah closes such a door, it is an act of mercy, even if it feels painful at the time. Sometimes Allah closes a door because you are holding on to something that has already served its purpose. You may not be growing there anymore. You may be shrinking, compromising, or settling. Out of love, Allah forces a change you would never choose on your own. If that door had remained open, you might have stayed stuck, comfortable but unfulfilled. Closure becomes the push you needed to move forward. There are also times when Allah closes a door to redirect you. You were walking in one direction, convinced it was right, but Allah knew another path would be better for your soul. So He blocks the road ahead and gently, or sometimes forcefully, turns you around. At first you feel lost, you question everything. But later, when the new door opens, you realize you were being guided all along. We often don't realize how many doors Allah closes quietly without us ever noticing. Relationships that could have harmed us, opportunities that could have corrupted us, situations that could have broken us. Allah removed them before they ever reached us. We only feel the pain when we are attached, but even that pain has wisdom, because it teaches us not to place our hearts too firmly in anything other than Allah. Closed doors also teach us trust. They remind us that our vision is limited and our desires are not always aligned with what is best for us. When you accept closure without resentment, you grow spiritually. You learn to say, if Allah removed this from my life, there must be good in it, even if I cannot see it yet. That level of surrender brings inner strength. It is important to understand that a closed door does not mean your journey has ended. It simply means that chapter is complete. Allah never leaves a believer stranded. When one door closes, another is already prepared, even if it takes time to appear. The waiting period is not emptiness, it is transition. During this time, Allah is realigning your heart, correcting your direction, and strengthening your reliance on Him. Looking back, many people realize that their greatest disappointments were actually turning points. What once felt like a devastating loss became the reason they found peace, purpose, or a deeper connection with Allah. The door they cried over was not the one meant to lead them to where they truly belonged. So when a door closes in your life, do not rush to label it as failure. Do not beg for what Allah has removed. Pause, breathe, and trust. Allah is either shielding you from harm or guiding you towards something greater. And when the right door opens, it will feel different. It will bring peace, not constant anxiety. It will draw you closer to Allah, not further away. And you will finally understand that the door that closed had to close so the right one could open. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most painful experiences in life is when a door you desperately wanted to walk through suddenly closes. You planned, you hoped, you made dua, and you imagined a future that felt so real. Then, without warning, it ends. At that moment, it feels like loss, rejection, and failure all at once. But very often when a door closes, Allah is not pushing you away. He is protecting you or redirecting you toward something better. We judge doors by how much we wanted them, not by where they would have led us. Allah, however, judges by outcomes, consequences, and what they would do to your heart and faith. There are paths that look attractive at the entrance, but are full of harm further down. There are opportunities that seem perfect on the surface, but would slowly pull you away from Allah, peace, or your true purpose. When Allah closes such a door, it is an act of mercy, even if it feels painful at the time. Sometimes Allah closes a door because you are holding on to something that has already served its purpose. You may not be growing there anymore. You may be shrinking, compromising, or settling. Out of love, Allah forces a change you would never choose on your own. If that door had remained open, you might have stayed stuck, comfortable but unfulfilled. Closure becomes the push you needed to move forward. There are also times when Allah closes a door to redirect you. You were walking in one direction, convinced it was right, but Allah knew another path would be better for your soul. So He blocks the road ahead and gently, or sometimes forcefully, turns you around. At first, you feel lost. You question everything. But later, when the new door opens, you realize you were being guided all along. We often don't realize how many doors Allah closes quietly without us ever noticing. Relationships that could have harmed us, opportunities that could have corrupted us, situations that could have broken us. Allah removed them before they ever reached us. We only feel the pain when we are attached. But even that pain has wisdom, because it teaches us not to place our hearts too firmly in anything other than Allah. Closed doors also teach us trust. They remind us that our vision is limited and our desires are not always aligned with what is best for us. When you accept closure without resentment, you grow spiritually. You learn to say, if Allah removed this from my life, there must be good in it, even if I cannot see it yet. That level of surrender brings inner strength. It is important to understand that a closed door does not mean your journey has ended. It simply means that chapter is complete. Allah never leaves a believer stranded. When one door closes, another is already prepared, even if it takes time to appear. The waiting period is not emptiness, it is transition. During this time, Allah is realigning your heart, correcting your direction, and strengthening your reliance on Him. Looking back, many people realize that their greatest disappointments were actually turning points. What once felt like a devastating loss became the reason they found peace, purpose, or a deeper connection with Allah. The door they cried over was not the one meant to lead them to where they truly belonged. So when a door closes in your life, do not rush to label it as failure. Do not beg for what Allah has removed. Pause, breathe, and trust. Allah is either shielding you from harm or guiding you towards something greater. And when the right door opens, it will feel different. It will bring peace, not constant anxiety. It will draw you closer to Allah, not further away. And you will finally understand that the door that closed had to close so the right one could open. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most beautiful gifts that faith gives to a believer is the ability to find relief through surrender, not struggle. So often we confuse effort with control. We think that the harder we push, the better the outcome will be. We think that if we force, plan, and manipulate every detail, we can shape our lives exactly as we want. But true relief does not come from endless struggle. It comes from surrendering our hearts and our affairs to Allah, trusting that He knows what is best for us. We live in a world that glorifies struggle and self-sufficiency. From a young age, we are taught to fight, to hustle, and to solve problems on our own. There is nothing wrong with effort. Indeed, Islam encourages us to work and strive. But effort without surrender often leads to frustration. When we try to control what is beyond our power, our hearts become restless. The mind is never at peace because we are attempting to hold on to outcomes that are already in Allah's hands. Surrender, however, brings a different kind of strength. It is not weakness or giving up. It is an active, conscious decision to do your best and then leave the rest to Allah. It is recognizing the limits of your knowledge, your power, and your control. When you surrender, you are acknowledging that Allah is the all-wise, the all-knowing, and the best planner. And when you accept that reality, your heart begins to lighten. Many of us have experienced moments where we struggled endlessly and achieved little, and other times when we surrendered and found ease in ways we could never have imagined. Consider the times when a situation seemed impossible, yet when you finally let go and trusted Allah, a solution arrived unexpectedly. Or the moments when your heart was anxious, but through sincere prayer and reliance, peace slowly returned. This is the power of surrender. Surrender also teaches patience. When you stop resisting what is happening and accept that Allah is in control, your heart learns to wait without bitterness. You no longer judge every difficulty as a disaster. You start to see obstacles as opportunities for growth, challenges as lessons, and delays as part of a divine timetable that is always perfect, even when it is hidden from you. Relief through surrender does not mean ignoring responsibility. It does not mean becoming passive or careless. Islam teaches effort, planning, and action. The Prophet said, tie your camel and then trust in Allah. First you do what you can, then you leave the outcome in Allah's hands. The struggle is yours, but the results belong to Him. This balance between effort and surrender is where true peace resides. When the heart surrenders, fear and anxiety lose their grip. You stop obsessing over what might go wrong and begin to trust that Allah is arranging what is best for you. You no longer despair when a plan fails or a door closes, because you know that nothing is wasted in Allah's wisdom. Every trial, delay or challenge carries a purpose, even if it is hidden from your eyes. Surrender also deepens your connection with Allah. When you release control, you are telling Allah, I trust you more than I trust myself. That act of reliance strengthens faith and softens the heart. You learn that relief is not found in forcing circumstances, but in finding comfort in the knowledge that Allah is managing everything. So if your heart is heavy today, remember this: relief does not come from endless struggle, from anxiety, or from trying to force life into your hands. Relief comes when you do your best and then surrender completely to Allah. It comes when you stop fighting the unknown and start trusting the one who knows all that is hidden and all that is yet to come. When you surrender, your soul finds peace, your mind finds clarity, and your heart discovers a lightness that struggle alone can never bring. True relief is not in controlling the world, it is in letting Allah control it for you. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the most transformative practices a believer can cultivate is tawakkul, or complete reliance upon Allah. Tawakkul is not just a concept we recite, it is a lifestyle that turns fear into strength, despair into hope, and uncertainty into peace. When a believer truly places their trust in Allah, they realize that no matter how powerful circumstances seem, no matter how heavy the challenges, they are never alone, and nothing happens without the knowledge and permission of their Lord. Many people misunderstand tawakkul. They think it means sitting back and doing nothing, waiting for miracles to happen. But tawakkul is not laziness, it is the balance between effort and surrender. You strive, you work, you plan, you pray, and then you leave the outcomes to Allah. The Prophet taught us to tie our camel first and then trust in Allah. This teaches us that action and reliya NCE go hand in hand. Effort is yours, results are His, and peace comes when you accept that boundary. When you practice tawakkul, fear loses its power. The heart that depends on Allah is no longer paralyzed by what may go wrong. Instead of being overwhelmed by possibilities and worst-case scenarios, the believer faces life with confidence. Confidence does not come from knowing everything will be easy or predictable. It comes from knowing that whatever happens, Allah is with you, managing every detail, protecting you, and guiding you toward what is best. Tawakkul also transforms hope. When you trust in Allah, you hope without desperation. Your heart does not cling to outcomes, but rests in the certainty that Allah knows what you need, even when you cannot see it. There is a difference between wishful thinking and trust-based hope. Trust-based hope is resilient. It remains steadfast even when circumstances appear bleak. It whispers to your soul that relief, guidance, and success are already on their way, even if delayed. One of the most beautiful aspects of tawakkul is that it teaches patience. The believer learns to wait without anxiety, to endure without despair, and to continue striving without being disheartened. When a door closes, the believer trusts that a better one will open. When a plan fails, the believer knows that Allah is redirecting them to something greater. When a test arrives, the believer remains confident that it carries wisdom and mercy, even if that wisdom is hidden from view. Tawakkul also strengthens the heart in ways that nothing else can. When fear and doubt strike, reliance on Allah becomes the anchor that prevents the soul from drifting. The believer who truly practices tawakkul does not live in panic over what tomorrow may bring. They understand that life is in Allah's hands and He never errs. Even when the world seems chaotic, they find serenity because they know that every detail is under divine control and every moment is part of a perfect plan. It is important to remember that tawakkul is a journey, not a momentary act. It grows as faith grows, as hearts soften, and as experiences teach patience. The more a believer witnesses Allah's care in their life, in answered prayers, in protection from unseen harm, in blessings they once overlooked, the stronger their reliance becomes. It becomes a source of courage, hope, and stability, even in the most difficult circumstances. When you fully embrace tawakkul, life changes. You no longer chase after every worry. You no longer fear what you cannot control, and you no longer despair over delays or setbacks. Your heart rests in the certainty that Allah is in charge, that He is merciful, and that He is preparing the best outcomes for you. Your fear turns into trust, your anxiety into hope, and your struggle into patience. So remember this today. True reliance on Allah transforms the heart. It turns fear into strength, doubt into certainty, and waiting into peace. Tawakkul is not just a word. It is a light that guides the believer through darkness, a shield in times of trial, and a key to the calm that comes when the heart surrenders fully to the one who has everything under control. My dear, our brothers and sisters, as we reflect on everything we have discussed today, one truth stands above all else. Allah has everything under control. Life may bring uncertainty, trials, delays, and closed doors, but none of it is meaningless. Every moment, every challenge, every blessing, and every loss is part of a perfect plan that only Allah can see in its entirety. What may feel like a setback today may be the protection, guidance, or preparation for something far greater tomorrow. We have learned that nothing in our lives happens by accident, that delays are not denials, and that hardships are opportunities for growth, purification, and closeness to Allah. Worry cannot change destiny, but trust brings peace. Even when we cannot see the full picture, Allah's control extends beyond our understanding, and every closed door is either protection or redirection towards something better. Relief does not come from endless struggle, but from surrendering to Allah. And true strength is found in tawakkul, complete reliance upon Him. So let us take this knowledge to heart. Let us face life with patience, perseverance, and faith. Let us surrender our anxieties, trust in Allah's wisdom, and walk forward knowing that He is managing every detail of our journey. When we anchor ourselves in this truth, fear turns into hope, despair turns into resilience, and uncertainty turns into peace. Remember, the one who created the heavens and the earth, who knows what is hidden and what is to come, is also in control of your life. Hold on to this truth, trust Him, and find comfort in knowing that whatever happens, Allah is guiding, protecting, and shaping you for your best, both in this life and the next. Everything is in His hands, and that is more than enough.